What's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's Kevin Forte. Today we are back and we are going to be discussing the latest on pending unrestricted free agent Nikolaj Ehlers. He's a really talented forward. Looks like he's going to be hitting the free agent market this summer. We'll be discussing some of the potential teams, the potential landing spots for Nikolaj Ehlers this summer. There's going to be a lot of teams interested in Ehlers. He is a very talented hockey player, 29 years old, coming off a contract where he was making just under $5 million. He is definitely going to see a pay raise this summer. And with the amount of teams that are interested in Ehlers and could use his services in the top six of their lineup, he is not going to be on the free agent board too long on July 1st. So, he is a Danish forward, the Great Dane, as a lot of people like to call him. One of the Great Danes, ninth overall pick back in 2014 for this Winnipeg Jets team. This past season, he had 24 goals, 63 points in 69 games. Over his career, he has over 500 points, 225 goals in 674 NHL games. And I think what's really the big stat with Nikolaj Ehlers is this is a guy that scores. He's a pure goal scorer. He adds a lot of depth scoring to a team, and this is around the totals that he'll normally get. You look at last season, he had 25 goals in 82 games. He did that in basically 15 less games this year. So when you kind of look at the situation around Ehlers, obviously it's a contract year, so he's going to put up probably better numbers. He's a lot more motivated to do well, right? That's obviously a thing. But also here, I mean, you look at his sort of where his progression has lied. He's kind of stayed the same player, which is, I think, in this situation, a good thing. He's stayed as steady as you can get. Steady Eddie, 20 to 25 goals per season. You could almost put it in the books next season that he can get those numbers because he's been doing it for so long now. And I think with Nikolaj Ehlers, a lot of teams are going to look at, in terms of money, I think Nikolaj Ehlers, with making $5 million right now, he's going to be a UFA. He's going to have the pick to go anywhere he wants. I think at this point, though, I don't think it's going to necessarily come down to money. I think he's going to want to chase a championship. And you can't really blame him for that. I mean, there's a guy that's, again, he's turning 30 years old. And a lot of people are kind of saying out there right now that the silence coming out of Nikolaj Ehlers' camp definitely has you worried that he won't re-sign with the Jets. And this has been a narrative that's gone on forever for the Winnipeg Jets, is they have a hard time keeping players in Winnipeg and guys wanting to sign extensions there that are there. And it's hard to bring in players to Winnipeg from other locations, right? And that's kind of the nature of the beast with Winnipeg, and it's the nature of the beast for a lot of markets around the National Hockey League. But for the Jets in particular, despite them going on deep playoff runs, they went to the conference finals, they have a great goaltender, they have great coaching, but yet they still find themselves in this constant purgatory of guys not wanting to be there. So for Nikolaj Ehlers, I think he's going to see what's available on the market. He's already made it this far. He's going to look and see what's out there. So in terms of a couple of teams that I think could be interested, I think the Utah Mammoth is one that I definitely would look at. I think Utah has a lot of maybe trying to add some top six players to their lineup. I could see him being a good addition there. Seattle's another one that could be in the mix there. One that I think in terms of maybe trying to get closer to the playoffs as soon as next season, I look at teams like the Pittsburgh Penguins or the New Jersey Devils. I think there is something to be said about him maybe trying to get to one of those spots. Pittsburgh's on the down end of their kind of playoff run, but if you have the chance to play with Crosby or Malkin, is that enough for Ehlers? That's something to kind of look at. I know there's a lot more of a European presence on the Devils. Maybe the Devils sound like a more attractive option. And they do bring in a lot of good free agents pretty much every year. New Jersey does really well in the free agency market, selling guys on playing with the Devils. Maybe Nikolaj Ehlers ends up being a Devil. A couple of other spots that could pop up at some point. I wonder if Boston, with everything going on with Carolina and the way the salary cap is going up, I wonder if Carolina maybe could try to find a way to bring him in. I could see him fitting with the Hurricanes really well, especially with the whole blow up with Mikko Rantanen that obviously rubbed them the wrong way. And I think if you're able to add a guy like Nikolaj Ehlers, who would fit in so perfectly with the way the Hurricanes play, that's a really interesting spot that maybe a lot of people aren't thinking about, but I could see them being a legit player. The Toronto Maple Leafs, for obvious reasons, right? There's a chance that they lose Mitch Marner this summer, and you're looking to replace a guy like Mitch Marner. Yeah, Nikolaj Ehlers is not Mitch Marner, but in terms of maybe making the team around them better, you had a guy like Nikolaj Ehlers and you had another good depth player for a decent amount of money. Well, then there you go. Now you find a way to add two good players instead of one really good player that doesn't perform in the playoffs. That could be what they're looking at here. So there's a bunch of teams that are going to be in on Ehlers, and we could probably have an entire discussion about, because at the end of the day, we don't know what's going on in Nikolaj Ehlers' head right now. The one thing I can say for certain is he's going to test the market now. I don't see him signing tomorrow or this week. It just doesn't make sense. When you have gone through the entire season as an unrestricted free agent and pretty much betting on yourself the entire season to now sign a contract this week or this month, it's probably not likely. He's going to look and see what's out there. Now that it's the off season, he can kind of decompress from the season. Everything that's from the playoffs is done now. Now he could focus on going home, really evaluating his options and really seeing what's out there for him before ultimately deciding where he wants to go. And I think a lot of the teams that don't end up, because there is only one Mitch Marner. So wherever Mitch Marner ends up going, the other teams that were vying for Mitch Marner are immediately number one on the list is Marner. Number two on that list is going to be Nikolaj Ehlers. And that's no discredit to Nikolaj Ehlers. There's a different caliber of player there with Mitch Marner. But what I do like about Nikolaj Ehlers is he scores big goals in big moments. And again, this isn't meant to be a knock at Marner either. But I think with a guy like Nikolaj Ehlers, he can elevate your team a lot. He can add a lot as a winger on your top six to the point where he can really monumentally change the makeup of your core in your top six winger group. And the way I look at Nikolaj Ehlers, he's 29 years old. He's been there. He's been on some deep playoff runs with the Jets. It's not like there's a guy coming from Buffalo that spent 10 years, not making the playoffs. He's been in big moments. He's been on the big stage. He's found ways to win with whatever team he's on. You look at what he did with Denmark a couple weeks ago against Team Canada. There is something special here with Nikolaj Ehlers. And I think when you look at a player like this is a guy that's a team's ready to make that next jump, to go on a deep playoff run as that keystone player. Nikolaj Ehlers can be that player. And you really don't hear a lot of bad things about him. You don't hear a lot of issues, locker room issues, off-ice issues. That doesn't seem to be an issue for Ehlers, and I think a lot of teams will like that as well. So that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you guys think of Nikolaj Ehlers, and where do you think he will end up signing? Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys again next time.